Here I am working with Sage. She is a 1-year-old Labrador who is very insecure. She has stranger danger when she is meeting new people. She has gotten into a scuffle with the neighbor's dog, as well as a couple scuffles with her housemate over resources. And you can see by her body language that she is incredibly insecure. Her hackles are up because she is in arousal. She is seeing these dogs that she doesn't know, and she hasn't always had the best experience with dogs, so this is a lot for her in this moment. You will also notice that her tail is tucked because she is just completely unsure of what the heck is going on and what I'm asking of her. So what I'm using here is I'm using Pack Drive to encourage her to come into the van, because she trusts me, right? Like, we've only met each other a couple times and worked with each other, but we've built up some sort of a relationship where she feels comfortable enough to move into me. If you noticed in the first part of this video, I moved back away from her when she was sniffing the dogs in the van, and it elicited her Pack Drive in that moment too. So she turned and came back into me. So I noticed that, so I stepped into the van in this moment. And here, Atticus is putting a lot of psychological pressure on her. He's the Dobie that's standing over her. So I'm creating some space, and I'm showing her that I'm going to advocate for her. So if she's feeling overwhelmed, I'm going to step in and ask the dogs to move. So you can tell that she's insecure with that, and I address Foxy, who's barking there in the background. And right here, she snaps to create the space from Atticus. Okay? So now she's coming into Lola, but I'm ready for it. So once she starts loading with some growls, I'm going to pop her with the leash a couple times to get her to move out back into really defense drive. I'm pushing her into defense in those moments. I want her to move out away from the dogs and just go into flight a little bit. So she went right back into coming into the dogs with curiosity, and I'm going to allow that because this is what I want. I want her to be confident enough to re-engage with the dogs. And if you notice here too, Atticus is giving her so much more space and respect just from that small correction she gave. She's like, dude, you're making me feel uncomfortable. Tail is still tucked, and she's trying to flight up into the front part of the van, but I'm going to disagree with that because we don't go up there if you are a dog. I like where she was at with Lola, but it was a lot for her, so I'm going to let her move out away from that. Love that shake off there. That is really good shift of her energy. Some curiosity with Murphy. Murphy's a huge dog, so he puts a lot of pressure on dogs. So I'm going to just step in a little bit before she feels like she needs to create the space. I like how she's checking out Atticus again, feeling confident enough to re-engage with him. The correction helped a lot. Like, she was able to communicate with him that, like, hey, I need space, and the fact that he gives her that space is such a sign of respect and like exactly what a dog like her needs. Like, she needs to be around dogs that will give her space, but also put enough pressure on her to let her know, like, it's okay if you feel this pressure. It's not a big deal. So now I'm going to get down to her level, and I'm really just eliciting that Pack Drive. I really want her to come into me, so I'm using a little bit of physical pressure with the leash here to really just kind of encourage her to come into this space. I'm trying to get her into one of the Ruffland kennels that is behind me, so I'm trying to get her to move into this space. So Murphy's putting on some pressure, Atticus is, and I want to create that space, so I'm going to move in and kind of scoot Atticus out of the way in that moment. And right here, she goes back into flight. It was just too much for her. And notice I allow it. Like, I let her to go fully out on that leash, but I'm going to block her and encourage her to come back in. Like, don't flee completely away from us. Move back into this space. You got this, girl.
Come on.
I love it. She's going right back in, but then she goes right back up into the front. Like, she's like, I want to be up here away from these dogs. This is a lot for her. So I'm just going to maneuver her and bring her back into the back of the van. So a little pressure there on the leash. Blocked her from going out of the van again because I really want to get her into the back area. She did it.
So good.
Right here, she gets a little bit too much with Murphy. So I pop her to move her back out of that. You're not working with a lot of space right there, so she wasn't fully able to move out. I like that she goes back in with curiosity, sniffing his butt.
She's in a space where
Such a good thing.
she doesn't have a lot of room to flight.
Checking out the dogs that are in the crates. Still completely nervous, anxious girl here. Now I'm encouraging her to hop up into the Roughland, which she does, which is so good. Great first start.